Explain to me how if conspiracy theories are not true, when all signs are pointing to Dave Portnoy buying the Mets. I mean, you can't tell me that this world is not like predetermined and there's not someone pulling strings if Dave fucking Portnoy is going to be an owner of the Mets.
I mean, I saw your tweet earlier, but it's gone further than that, right?
Yeah, I just saw Dave's tweet saying, so for those who don't know, Mike Rapoli, owner of Body Armor, Barstool sponsor, billionaire, all around.
He owns horses with Dave, right?
Yep. All around, like,
together, which is crazy thing to say, but
I mean, Rapoli is like awesome because like we did an ad read for Body Armor the other day where we just like kept interrupting Dave and like fucking around during the ad read. And we were saying how sales was going to be like, all right, we need to do a make good. And that Rapoli was going to be like, that was fucking awesome. That was the best ad read of the year. So he gets it. He knows our vibe. He's a billionaire. He has now joined up with the Arod and J-Lo conglomerate, which you also can't tell me. I don't know if those guys had a relationship ahead of time, but I feel like that's a Barstool thing as well. Like the Corp and Dan and Arod and Rapoli, and there's an introduction. Those guys are chatting. Rapoli wants to join that conglomerate, which is going to buy the Mets. And then Dave tweets, an anonymous source has asked me if I'd like to be involved with an anonymous professional sports team if they anonymously buy the franchise. I wouldn't have to relocate. Need to consider. I mean, Dave's going to buy the Mets.
Yeah, he is.
He's going to buy the Mets. Like, I'm still holding out hope. I love Steve Cohen. I feel like having a single owner who's the richest man in the world, basically, and the richest man in the league is better. But short of that, Rapoli is that dude. And I also feel like for once, the deal with the devil would be aligning with my interests. Like I've always hated everything that Dave does, other than like own Barstool and be in the same business, which admittedly is a big one. But everything else, I'm like, I don't care about your teams. I don't care about your likes and like interests. So you're going to keep doing all these things. Like I don't want to buy a horse. I don't want to be in that world. I don't want to do anything Dave does except for the Mets.
Do you think he would torture you with it?
I feel like how? Like if he were going to like torpedo the team, then yeah. But I mean, his financial interests and his like ego of being a sports owner, he's not going to be thinking about me. He doesn't give a fuck about me. You know what I mean? I'm nothing compared to that. So like he's going to do a good job. And actually what I'll do is I'll torture him. You know, if he's making like good moves for the Mets, I'd be like, Davey's fucking like working for me. Like Davey's fucking making me happy all of a sudden. But I mean, right? There's no way, like, how could he torture me other than just being like, you're a fan of me? I'd be like, whatever. I don't care, dude. You know?
Right. Yeah. No, there's like, yeah, unless he willingly is awful, which Dave wouldn't do because his ego's too big for that.
Right.
I think if you were going to have an owner in the world, like Dave Portnoy is a good one to have. He wants to win. He's like
Steinbrenner-esque. We always say you need a guy who like doesn't like worry about the business and just wants to win. I mean, you know how much, you know, he's got a lot of money, but it's pennies when we're talking about owning teams. So, but I think Rapoli's smart enough that he would be like, you know, you own like 0.5%, but we're gonna make you like the face of like the. What?
Jay-Z, you'll be like the Jay-Z. Jay-Z like barely owned the Brooklyn Nets.
Right.
Everyone thought Jay-Z owned 100% of the Nets. And I feel like Dave, A-Rod, and J-Lo, that's a fucking monster squad.
And I know people would probably think, like, they probably would torture me in the sense of, like, Dave is now the Mets and all that shit. But I am A-okay with all that. It's not like I had dreams of, like, owning and being involved with the Mets. I just had dreams of them fucking winning. So if Dave wants to be, like, at the press conferences and all that shit, like, go ahead, as long as you're also at the parade, brother. That's all that matters to me. But I mean,